we going up? Let's go up. Not as fast as that. G'day folks, it's Mish here. I would say welcome to another adventure, but my state is in lockdown right now, so I'm very limited with the amount of metal detecting and treasure hunting I can do. So today, I'm out for a walk with my dog Jasper, and we're going to answer some of those questions that you've been asking me over the past week. So I did pitch out to my YouTube community tab, also on my Instagram, whether you had any questions for me, be it about the channel, be it about my gear, or be it about me personally. So anyway, let's see how many questions we can answer today. All right, so I've got a list printed out in front of me. I'm going to try and do this while walking a dog. This is easier said than done, I can assure you. All right, the first question I've got here was sent to me via YouTube from Rolf. Rolf? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Sorry, buddy. He asked me, are you and the Coffee Bush Kid related or just friends? Now, for those who don't know, the Coffee Bush Kid is a fellow YouTuber that I have done several collabs with in the past. No, we are not related, but there is a bit of a story there. So we went hunting together one time. We had a gentleman stop us, and because of our age difference, it kind of looked like a father-daughter combo. So the guy kept referring to Andrew, the Coffee Bush Kid, as my father. Not the case. We are actually not related at all. We in fact met through the wonders of YouTube, but we are very, very good friends, and I really do look forward to collabing with him again someday. Andrew's not a water baby, so it's going to have to be a land hunt of some sort, but that's okay. I wouldn't mind having a trek back to his goldfields and seeing what I can find there. I'm yet to find a token, and that would be a really nice goal. So this next question is from Aussie Darren. How you doing, Darren? You're forever commenting on my videos. I really do appreciate it. He's asked me, what do you do for a crust? So that's Aussie terminology for what type of work do you do? I work in recreation, so I'm not going to be overly specific, but I do work in customer service, and I work basically helping people to achieve their health, fitness, confidence goals, that sort of thing. I have had numerous jobs in this sector, and I have recently started a new one, so only a few weeks into it. So far so good. I really do love what I do. Okie doke. So the next one is from Dennis Samuels. How you doing, mate? Howdy, Mish. What was the make and model of your first metal detector? So my first metal detector was a Minelab GoFind 22, so a relatively inexpensive detector. I bought it basically not knowing whether I'd stick with the hobby or not, so I didn't want to spend too much money. The thing I really liked about the GoFind is that it folded up into a backpack, so I could literally take it anywhere. I had a lot of fun with it. I did find several items with it. Nothing major, but I didn't own it for a long time. I ended up upgrading to the Equinox, probably, I don't know, 3 to 6 months after that. It wasn't a great deal of time. I haven't looked back since, to be honest, but yeah, it was a good little detector. All right, I'm stopping with the dog for a sec, because it's a nightmare walking and talking at the same time. Despite being a woman, I'm not much of a multitasker. So the next question here. Alrighty, Dennis also asks, have you ever had to interact with rude or condescending people while on the beach or in a park? He unfortunately just recently had this experience for the first time, and he's still somewhat confused and bothered by it. So sorry to hear that happen to you. I haven't had anything ridiculously awkward. Probably the worst things I've had happen is I've had a gentleman make snarky remarks to the point where, maybe I should drop more trash for you to pick up. So I basically smiled and wished him well, so it backfired on him. And then I've had other moments where people will film me without asking. So I try not to film people in the background of my shots. You may have noticed that I do try and avoid having anyone in the background where I can. But I've had people come right up to me as close as you and I are away at the moment with their smartphones out, just filming what I'm doing without even saying a word to me. So that gets a little weird. I understand water detecting the like looks a little strange, but it would just be nice if people asked if maybe they could film first. But yeah, that's about the extent of it for me. I guess my recommendation would just be to smile politely, tell them have a nice day. Even if you're seething on the inside, it doesn't hurt to spread a little positivity, and it might just turn their day around as well. So thank you for that. That was a really good question. Next up, I've got one from Real Eyes Imaging. How you doing? Hey Mish, what camera setup are you using? So right now the thing I'm talking to is a GoPro Hero 8 Black. I also have a GoPro Hero 6 Black, which was the first camera I started with on YouTube. It's done a really good job. I still use it in a lot of hunts today. In fact, my recent scuba video was filmed on the Hero 6 because I have a dive-proof case for that one. I haven't got the same on the Hero 8, however, I've got the media mod on right now. I'm actually using a wireless microphone to talk, so hopefully it's nice and clear for you. I can make a separate video just on my filming equipment if you like. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, and I can get to work on that one. So thank you for that. All right, I've got a question from John, who's better known as 65 Bug Nut on YouTube. Hi John. He's asked me, can I talk about what software I use to edit my videos? Do I use Apple, Microsoft, so on and so forth? I use Apple products, so I edit on a MacBook Pro. Now that sounds like I've got a lot of money, but a MacBook Pro is about 10 years old now, so it's hanging on for dear life. I actually use the software Final Cut Pro 10 on the Mac, which is a fantastic video editing software. Does cost a fair bit to get initially, but there's no ongoing costs with it, unlike some of the other competitors. Thank you for that, John. Appreciate that. Okay, the next question I've got is from Everything Metal Detecting. How you doing? Have you ever gone out and done your own yard or garden during lockdown? It's pretty amazing what you can find in your own space. So thank you for the question. It's a really good one. I have detected my backyard during, well, I don't know if it was during lockdown. Anyway, I have detected my yard. Nah, it's not good. I really drew the short straw in terms of yard finds. So basically my property where my house is built used to be part of my neighbour's property as well. When his house was built some decades back, my yard was actually the dumping ground. So it's basically full of rebar, it's full of brick, it's full of just scrap junk. I'm yet to find a coin in my own yard. The best thing I've ever found in my yard was a scrap part of a Vegemite tin lid from the 1950s. It was pretty toasted. I'll put a pic here if I can find it. Yeah, that's really about it though. The rest was just completely junk. So if I get desperate enough, I might detect it again. But unfortunately, yeah, not much luck there. Thank you though, good question. I've got a question now from Mel's Van Life. How do you mount your GoPro to get those wonderful shots? Is it on your shoulder? So it has been on my shoulder in a couple of videos, not many though. What I typically do is I mount my GoPro to a chest harness mount. And again, I'll pop a photo here if I can. So for, yeah, probably 90% of my filming, it is a GoPro chest mount. I sometimes have the little backpack mount that, yes, does align with the shoulder. It does give you a nice high view, but I do find with that one when you crouch, sometimes it turns outwards to the side. So there's kind of pros and cons to every type of mounting system, but the chest mount's probably the most hands-free for me, but it also means I can see the back of the screen just to make sure everything's filming okay and that you're getting a good shot. So thank you for that. I've now got one from Mark Woods. He says, hi Mish, were you into scuba diving and snorkeling before you started metal detecting? That is an unequivocal no. I was absolutely not into scuba or snorkeling prior to detecting. In fact, quite the opposite. I've been staying away from open water for quite a few years now. So when I was younger, I used to really enjoy bodyboarding, going to the beach, that sort of thing. A few things happened some years ago and it really put me off the water for a while. I've gotten back into it in recent years, kind of forced myself to get back into it, and now I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm really glad I managed to get myself out my comfort zone for that. But no, the metal detecting love started before the snorkeling for sure. Good question. I'm going to show you guys this area. So apparently, when my husband was younger, he actually used to ride his bike down here. Yeah, that's not something I would ever see myself doing. It's pretty steep down there. Cool view though. Let's move on. My next question is from a regular on my channel, Louise. How you doing? What made you get into this wonderful hobby of metal detecting / treasure hunting? So for me, it was probably an interest in coin collecting that got me into it. So I'm probably more interested in coins than jewellery when it comes to finding things. Any find's a good find, of course, but the coins were where the love was at. My great-grandfather actually collected coins for me basically before I was born. So that album got passed down to me in time. I am now continuing to fill that album with finds that I find. So it's very sentimental for me. That's probably about the best explanation I've got for you, to be honest. Otherwise, just because it's fun. I really do enjoy it. It's good for the mental health. I like just getting out to beautiful places, kind of like this. How pretty is this? Can't metal detect here though. So thank you, Louise. All right, from Wayne Hoft. I'm never going to pronounce these right, guys. Have you ever gone to any other country to do any underwater metal detecting? No, I have not. In fact, I've not gone to any other country to do any other metal detecting. I'm a little bit landlocked at the moment with Australia's flight restrictions at the moment. So it's probably going to be at least another year or so before I could even consider such a thing. But it's something I'd like to do one day. I've now got one from J Prio S. I don't know. Hello from SoCal, USA. G'day from Australia. Have you used other brands of detectors apart from Minelab? I'm new to your channel. So firstly, welcome to my channel. I appreciate the question. I haven't actually used any other brands unless you count my Nokta Makro PulseDive handheld detector. Yeah, a little bit limited in my exposure there because I started out with a little Minelab Go find. I moved on to the Equinox and I've also played with a Minelab Vanquish because I actually won one of those once upon a time. I then moved it on to my father. So yeah, I've pretty much been stuck in a Minelab bubble for a long time. Does that mean I'm exclusive to them? No, not at all. I'll give another detector a go for sure. The Equinox was particularly handy though in that so many people own them, so many people make videos on them that it was very easy for me to learn what they sound like, tips and tricks, that sort of thing. I'm very much a visual learner, so the more visual reference I've got to learn about a detector, the better. So thank you for the question. All right, the next question is from Michael M, who's been commenting on my channel a bit lately, so thank you for that, Michael. Do you have plans for the future of your channel? Giveaways, branding, instructional videos, sponsors and the like? No, I don't really have anything set in stone. So I started this channel for fun almost exactly a year ago now. It was sort of mid-June 2020 that I started it because all my workplaces were locked down and I had nothing else to do. So I wanted to have a bit of fun and I really enjoy the video editing process. I've kind of naturally evolved the channel anyway, I think, certainly including more and more water content along the way. I don't want to completely change direction here and there. Like I want to include some of the original beach and land detecting as well, and just continue to offer a little bit of variety, but still within that scope of treasure hunting and metal detecting, I think. Now, in terms of sponsors, I don't have any sponsors set in stone. I have had some assistance here and there from businesses, but I'm not locked down to anyone in particular, and it's kind of nice to have that flexibility. I think if I do get any sponsorships, it needs to be something I genuinely believe in and that I genuinely want to share with you guys. I'm not really about promoting the latest mobile app or web hosting or anything like that. That's really just not me. So thank you for that question. That was awesome. All right, I've stopped to have a seat and take a break because this guy keeps pulling me everywhere. But he's doing a good job. He's been a good boy, aren't you, Jasper? You a good boy? Yeah. All right, so this next question came through via Instagram and it is from Nora Svet. So if you've not heard of Nora, you really need to get on that. She's on YouTube, Insta, pretty much everywhere. but YouTube is her main home. She makes underwater treasure hunting videos and she edits the absolute living daylights out of them. She puts her blood, sweat and tears into them. So, you know, do I sound like I'm gushing? I'm probably gushing. Go check them out, they are worth it. So Nora's question is, what would be the #1 spot you'd metal detect if you had a teleportation machine? I really like this question and I hadn't thought about it much, but if anything, I'd probably like to go to Japan, find some old yen sen relics over there. That would be amazing. In terms of water hunting though, probably over to somewhere like Ginny Springs in the US. You guys keep putting amazing content out there with the water clarity and the sights and the treasures you find in there. It'd be an absolute dream to go over there one day. So great question. And I'm probably going to need a teleportation machine if I want to leave Australia anytime in the next couple of years with the way our travel bans are going. But that's okay. I've also got a question via Instagram from Rabi96 asking me, when am I going to do international detecting? So probably ties in with Nora's question a little bit. Unfortunately, in Australia at the moment, international travel is pretty much banned unless you've got an absolute essential reason for getting out of the country. We're not going anywhere. It looks like it might be lifted sometime in 2022, but with the state of the world at the moment, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. So in the meantime, I'm going to explore our beautiful country. We've got so much to see in Australia that, to be honest, I don't particularly need to leave it anytime soon. We've got everything we could possibly need. But great question. All right. You want to get going? Hey, we gonna go home? Let's go home. Come. Home's that way. Good boy. Let's go. This way. This way, you muppet. So my next question comes from Dave River Hunter. If you've not heard of Dave, he has Instagram and YouTube. He does treasure hunting in a rather fast flowing river, finds lots of phones, speakers, watches, all sorts of cool stuff, to be honest. Very underrated as a YouTuber, doesn't get a whole lot of views. So guys, get on it nice and early. I'll pop his link up on the screen here and just tell him that Mish said hi. So Dave has asked me, what's your favorite find, worst find, and best find? So I had a little bit of a think about this one before filming today. My favorite finds would probably be the recoveries I do for people. So when someone's contacted me to say that they've lost a wedding ring, that sort of thing, there's no greater feeling than when you find such a sentimental item for someone and you can successfully get it back to them. So those recoveries always stick in my mind. So in that sense, they're my favorite finds. My worst finds, probably the amount of trash I find, typically in the water and that sort of thing. Like, guys, don't litter, just don't. Yeah, rusty old fish hooks where kids play at the beach, that sort of thing. I understand some of these things can't be avoided, you know, if your fishing tackle gets snagged on a rock and breaks and that sort of thing, but we've all got to do our bit, pick up some litter whenever we go to these beautiful locations, and let's just make the world a better place, bit by bit, piece by piece. My best find? Well, I mean, there's probably a lot of things I could call my best find, but one of my most remarkable ones I think would have probably been my very first gold ring that I found. So once I upgraded from my first detector to the Equinox, it was only a couple of weeks into owning that. It was the new year. I was really excited to use my brand new machine and I uncovered an 18 karat gold ring. So it was mixed emotions because I thought it looked like a recent drop. So I handed it into the police station that same day. I had this ring for maybe 2 hours in my possession. Filled out all the correct forms, waited 3 months, so it was at the police station for 3 months, and then it ended up being unclaimed, so it came back to my possession anyway. So that one was a pretty cool find. I'm pretty proud of that one, but I'm also super stoked whenever I find an old coin as well. So it doesn't particularly matter what type of old coin, whether it's silver, copper, Australian, British, whatever. I just love them. I just love them. But yeah, great question. Thanks, Dave. This question is from Instagram. This is from Detecting South Oz. How you doing? How many hours on average do you spend detecting per hunt? So, good question. I typically spend 3 to 4 hours if I'm filming. because I've got to allow a bit extra time. Obviously when you're filming, you're setting the camera up for every scan, every dig up that you think is going to be good. So it kind of eats into your time a bit. I think if I was just detecting and not filming, that same hunt could easily be completed within 2 hours, but because of the stopping and starting, yeah, 3 to 4 hours is typically what I allow. The longest hunt I've ever done is probably about 6 hours, but I don't typically like dragging them out that long. I figure I can always split up the fun over a couple of days or sessions. He's also asked me, do I plan on doing any more land hunts? So yes I do. It's no secret that beach hunting is my favourite thing to do, and water hunting is quite quickly following in the footsteps. That may end up overtaking it to be my favourite type of hunt. But I still like getting out and digging in the soil occasionally as well. Unfortunately, where I live, I'm a little bit restricted with where I can and can't dig, certainly compared to mates such as the Coffee Bush Kid. He's got a vast area that he's allowed to dig on public land. There are quite a few farm permissions, that sort of thing as well. I have none of that really. In fact, where I'm walking through now, not allowed to dig here, historic area. So yeah, but you know, hopefully I'll get a few more permissions as well. I do have some I've been meaning to get back to, but they just involve a little bit of travel, and I'll get back to things like parks for coffee money and stuff as well. I know you guys like my park hunts, so I will endeavour to keep them up. Good question. You getting tired, Jesse? Mum's getting tired. Nearly there, mate. Okay, so this question came through from Instagram as well. This is from mocha.1357. How you doing? So she's asked, what is your favourite find and what do you consider your best hunt? So I've probably already touched on the favourite find bit when I was answering Dave's question. But as far as my best hunt goes, there is a hunt that sticks in mind there. It was a beach hunt. I did film it for YouTube. The audio will be rough because it's one of my earlier hunts, but I will link it above for you. So I went to a particular beach that has a little creek that trickles out to the ocean. And on this particular day, the sand had eroded right back. I could see a ton of rocks that I normally wouldn't be able to see. And it was just pre-decimal coins galore. I found so many beautiful old coins. Al even found an 1875 Britannia penny. It was just an amazing day out, and we just couldn't believe the amount of things that were coming back to the surface. I actually went back to that same spot like a day or two later, and it was covered in sand again. So it's just one of those right place, right time events. I am waiting and hoping and praying I will come across that set of conditions again, because now that I know a little bit more about detecting, I reckon I could get so many more targets out of there. But yeah, that was my favourite. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly to the end of the walk, and we're nearly to the end of the questions. So I've got another one here, another one through Instagram from Tyger Detecting. How you doing? What's your favourite coin you have found in your metal detecting career? So there was something in that bush. I think it was a bird. Anyway. What was I saying? My favourite coin. All right, so I don't have one favourite. My couple of Britannia pennies and half pennies I've found from the 1800s, they're pretty awesome. I reckon my I think it was like 1911 florin that I found wedged between some rocks. It was my first one of the older style florins, and you know, it was 120 years old silver coin. It was pretty amazing. I've since found a few of the older style florins, but every time I find them, they're just beautiful. So that's a really vague answer, but there's probably a couple of contenders in that mix. All right, this one is from Ketala 2019. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Do you find more success on the beaches in summer than in winter in water versus on sand? So, good question. I would honestly say I haven't been detecting long enough to really notice the better season for me yet, because if I compare, you know, this winter that I'm coming into now to last winter I'd barely had much experience with the equinox, so I probably wasn't hunting all that efficiently. I would probably say that in terms of beach hunting, if you can get the right conditions in winter where a beach gets absolutely torn up and eroded, that's probably a better time to hunt it. But in saying that, during the summer season, you're more likely to have people at the beach. So in terms of fresh drops, you're going to find more then. So there's kind of pros and cons to both seasons. In terms of in water versus on sand, same sort of thing. During the warm season, I'll find a lot more drops on the dry sand. Pretty much year round I'll find things in the water, but it's a case of looking for the right conditions, looking for the lower spots, you know, making sure you're avoiding just the massive loose sand piles in the water, because the targets just drop straight through them and they're out of range of the detector. Thank you for that. Well, thank you guys. That pretty much brings me to the end of my Q&A for today. I hope I've answered your burning questions. If there's anything else I haven't covered, feel free to drop me a comment below. I'll see what I can do. Stay safe, guys. I will catch you on my next adventure. Cheers. So it turns out that answering questions and walking a dog at the same time is fairly well impossible. I keep stepping over this guy. Don't work with animals and children. Just don't. So the next question, the next question's not getting answered if I keep getting tugged away. So we're gonna have a seat on this freshly cut tree. I'm probably gonna have a butt covered in tree sap by the end of this, but I think it's worth it just to have a breather.